Good day, everyone. I am Joyce Soriano from BSAE 3-1, and today we're discussing the long-term sources of funds and the best source of financing. First, let's talk about the long-term sources of funds. These can be categorized into four different types: the term loans, bonds, common stocks, and retained earnings. The long-term sources of funds. These are sources from where the funds are raised for a longer period of time, usually more than a year long. It can also be defined as the credit facility given to a firm for more than 5 years. Yung credit facility is a extension loan para hindi na mag-reapply for a new loan yung mga companies. And yung funds na nakukuha dito, pwede nilang gamitin yun para ma-manage yung kanilang liabilities. And these liabilities include modernization, expansion, diversification, and development of business operations. Now, para sa mga nagsisimula pa lang, pwede rin silang kumuha ng long-term sources of funds para sa startups ng business nila. The first category is the term loans. It is a loan from a bank for a specific amount that has a certain repayment schedule and includes either fixed or floating interest rate. The term loan is basically a monetary loan na kailangan mabayaran within a span of 1 to 10 years. Pero may mga cases na tumatagal siya ng up to 30 years. Now, yung advantage ng term loan ay, first, it can be generated more quickly. Kasi normally, within just a matter of days, pwede na siya for release. The second is its flexibility. It can be tailored depending on the needs and necessities ng borrowers. And lastly, it has a lower cost of issuance compared to the other sources of funds. But yung negative side nito is you can only get a smaller amount. Unlike sa other categories, also it is an unsecured loans, meaning walang collateral. So mas mataas yung risk nito, ibig sabihin mas mataas yung interest rate niya. The next category is bonds. A bond is a long-term debt or liability owed by its issuer. Physical evidence of the debt lies in a negotiable bond certificate. They are normally issued against collateral and are therefore a highly secured form of long-term finance. Bonds may prove to be very cost-effective in a bullish market. A bullish market is a financial market na kung saan yung pricing ng stocks or properties ay expected na tumataas within a matter of time. Now, yung bond, isa itong legal contract between the lender and the borrower. And usually, meron ditong involved na collateral. So, in an event na hindi makabayad si borrower sa kanyang pinagkakautangan, edi magkakaroon ng legal authority yung lender para i-seize yung assets ng borrower and ibenta yun to get their money back. Now, yung advantage nito is it is easier to raise funds kasi mas madaling makakahanap to ng mga investors dahil alam ng mga investors na may panghahawakan sila. So, mas maraming magkakaroon ng interest dito. And yung panghahawakan nila na yun is yung collateral nga. Yung collateral, pwede siyang maging any property like houses or cars. But yung negative side niya is it is subject to interest rate risk which reduces the value of bond over time. Yan. Meron tayong 8 types of bonds. The debentures, ito yung walang collateral na kailangan. The mortgage bond, yung mga real estate properties. Collateral trust, ito yung mga stocks na pwede mong gawin as collateral. Guaranteed bonds, ito yung mga may tinatawag tayo na guarantor. Ito yung makakapanigurado na mayroong ibang tao na or company na magbabayad sa in case na hindi makabayad yung borrower. The subordinate debentures, it is inferior to other debts. The convertible bonds, yung bonds na convertible into shares of common stocks. The bonds with warrants, yung warrants naman, ito yung magkakaroon ng permit yung holder ng stock. For example, yung holder ng stock, or bumili siya ng shares sa other companies. Tapos for $10, let's say. Tapos binenta niya yun for $20. It's valid and it's legal kasi nasa kanya yung authority na gawin yun. And the last is income bonds. Ito naman yung babayaran mo lang interest, depende kung kailan mo kayang bayaran, depende kung kailan ka kumita. And the issuance of common stocks forms the third source of long-term funds. Since common stocks reflects corporate ownership, many investors put their money to them. Common stocks do not have maturity redemption periods unlike other bonds and term loans that must be repaid at a certain date. So, basic lang naman yung common stocks, di ba? Yung mga investors bumibili ng stocks sa companies para magkaroon sila ng shares and ownership or authority. Tapos, yung funds na nanggagaling sa mga investors, ay yun yung ginagamit ng mga companies para sa kanilang necessities. Next is risk. Risk applies to the possibility that the organization may be adversely affected when a specific source of funding is selected when applied to the determination of fund sources. Short-term debt subjects the borrowing firm to greater risk than long-term debt financing. So, contrary sa nabanggit kanina, dito na mayroong advantage yung short-term borrowers sa flexibility, dito naman sila yung mas prone sa risk due to the two reasons. The first is hindi na applicable yung previous conditions nila kung mag-apply sila sa panibagong loan. And the second factor is that mas malaki yung chance ng defaulting sa short-term debts kasi yung defaulting, it means the failure to pay. Kasi, di ba, maikling time yung kailangan mong i-fill up. So, that means mas marami yung times na kailangan kang magbayad. Dahil doon, mas prone siya sa risk kasi parang mabigat na paulit-ulit na magbabayad. The next is income. Different sources of funds would have their own personal impact on the engineering firm's net income. When the business borrows, ample amount must be created to offset the cost of borrowing and the owners still have adequate returns. So income, syempre kailangan mo isaalang-alang yung income ng isang firm when borrowing money. Kailangan meron kang more than enough para mabayaran yung debt and kailangan may sobra pa doon para masabing kumikita ka talaga. The next is control. The current group owners may lose control of the company when new owners are taken in because of the need for additional capital. If the current owners do not want this to happen, additional forms of funding must be considered. Yung sa control naman, nangyayari to when, for example, when two companies merge. So, kung gusto ng mga current owners na mapanatili yung power nila doon sa kanilang firm or company, then kailangan nila na mag-add ng more funds. Timing. Financial market has ups and downs. There are periods when greater incentives are offered by some firms in financing than other periods. Consequently, the engineering director must choose the right time to borrow or sell equity. Dito naman, napag-aaralan naman yung timing. And the knowledge of the right timing is a strategy that a manager or CEO can do para makapag-desisyon ng tama kung kailan sila mangungutang, kailan sila magbebenta. And ayun, meron talagang positive or advantages yung pagkakaalam ng right timing. The last thing is the other factors. The first is collateral values. Dito, kailangan mong i-assess if these assets are available for collateral. The second is flotation cost. How will it cost to issue the bonds or stocks? Kasi normally, may charge pa rin silang amount, which is the issuance cost. For the last one, we have the other factors. Dito, kailangan mong i-assess yung few things. The first is collateral values. Kailangan malaman if these assets are available as collateral. The second is flotation cost. How will it cost to issue bonds or stocks? Dito pumapasok yung charges na pinapatong nila kapag nag-i-issue ka ng money, which is the issuance cost nga. The third is speed. How fast can the funds required be raised? So syempre, kailangan mong malaman kung gaano kabilis na kumikita or nagkakaroon ng interest yung pera mo bago ka mag-invest doon sa bagay na yun. For the last one, we have the other factors. Dito, kailangan mo i-assess yung few things. The first is collateral values. You need to know if these assets are available as collateral. The next is flotation cost. How will it cost to issue bonds or stocks? Kasi normally, meron silang pinapatong na charges when you issue money. It is the issuance cost nga. The third is speed. How fast can the funds required be raised? Dito, syempre, kailangan isaalang-alang yung kung gaano kabilis na kumikita yung money mo kasi mas mabilis. Ibig sabihin, mas malaki yung kinikita mo and mas magagamit mo siya ng effective. For the last one is exposure. To what extent will the firm be exposed to other parties? So yeah, ayun lang naman yung lesson tungkol sa long-term sources of funds and the best source of financing. Yung key takeaway lang naman dito is the balance. You need to assess what your necessities are and you need to know kung ano yung kakayahan mo para mabayaran yung debts mo. Ayun lang naman po and thank you. Have a great day.